evening, and welcome to the Valerie Players 10-Minute Play Festival. This show is presented in Reader's Theater format, as the actors will use their voices to bring their characters to life. The festival is dedicated to storytellers in each of us. You see, telling stories is our greatest human superpower. So remember, when you're telling something about your grandma or your trip to Walmart, you're using your superpower, which makes all of us superheroes. We put together a collection of stories, both funny and thought-provoking, from a group of local superheroes for your entertainment. Tonight we have some of those superheroes in the audience, and I'd like to introduce them. Cindy Pontre, Joe Starker, Margot Wilson, Bill Norclum, Barry Denham, who's in the show, Robert Darling, Carol Jeske, who's directing Act 2, and Jim and Sharon King, who will be representing Phyllis Burton. Phyllis had to go to a memorial service for her sister in Montana, I believe. All right, we will now start the show.
Are you cutting the last two paragraphs on this script?
What last two paragraphs on the
Be able to
script?
vote for your favorite on the ballot?
Oh, yeah, I jumped too far. You will be able to vote for your favorite on the ballot you received when you came in. Vote for only one, and we will, at the end of tonight, by awarding a gold medal. Following Sunday's show, we will announce the overall favorite and present a grand prize. Now I'm supposed to say sit back and relax, but the seats don't tilt back, and if you relax and start to snore, the ushers will have to wake you. So turn off your cell phones and enjoy the show. Your 2 o'clock appointment is here.
Thank you, Tilly. Please send them in. Come in.
Good morning. My name is Franklin, and I'm here to interview for the open printer's assistant position. I understand your newspaper has a vacancy.
Yes, come in. Please have a seat.
Thank you. You are Miss...
I am Miss Lily White Brown Garcia, Director of Human Resources, Public Relations, and Governmental Ethical Compliance. I am also the chair of the corporation's Board of Community Coalitions and Subcultural Heritage Preservation. I am also the head of the Departmental Council for Better Urban Understanding and Foreign Friendships.
Well, I'm sorry, but what does all that translate to?
A little over $92,000 a year, plus benefits. Now then, I have your cover letter with your full resume and our proprietary 30-page employment application, all of the mandatory federal and state tax forms. So it's just a few questions for the primary interview form.
Of course, but I don't know that I can tell you anymore. I had to list my home address 3 times, my social security number 4 times, and give at least 4 references, and my work history for the last 10 years. The online application asked me about my criminal history, veteran status, bankruptcies, hobbies, associations, and contact information, and my previous drug use. I was directed to another site where I had to do an 80-question character test, and when I finished, I was directed to a government website where I had to describe my age, race, sex, and whether I had been receiving any sort of government benefits, all before my website would even allow me to submit my application.
Yes, well, we do have to cover the basics. Now, before we begin, I will need to know your personal preferences, personal pronouns.
My what?
Your personal pronouns. How do you identify yourself sexually? Male, female, other?
Well, I have male genitalia.
That doesn't matter anymore.
Well, it matters to me. Let's just go with male.
Right. Now then, your education. You didn't graduate from college?
No, I was homeschooled for a bit and then self-taught. I did, however, help found the University of Pennsylvania, and I hold honorary degrees from the University of St. Andrews and Oxford
Well,
University.
that's not really the same thing now, is it, Mr. Franklin? Mr. Franklin. I mean, there's no transcript to be requested, no GPA to ask for, and no crushing student loans to keep you addicted to that regular paycheck, is there? As to experience, well, it says here you've worked as a printer before. Who was your previous employer?
The Pennsylvania Gazette. It was one time one of the most respected newspapers in the country.
Very nice. Your job title and the name of your supervisor?
Well, you see, I was the publisher.
Well, that could be a problem. You see how it is. There's no one to call and no one to ask for a completely arbitrary assessment of your abilities and work ethics. I mean, without a proper job title and description made up by your last employer, how will we know if you are a fit for our made-up job title and description?
So you need to be able to ask someone you've never met, who may well resent me for leaving his employee, to vouch for me as a worker, so that you can attempt to predict my future performance in a job that may not even require the same skill sets.
Mr. Franklin, Mr. Franklin, I think you're reading far too much into this. Well, of course, we would never base any employment decision on the word of a former employer. In fact, the only information that they can legally provide is the dates of your employment and whether or not they'd rehire you. It's simple, you see.
But if you don't use the information as part of the process, why do you bother to even contact former employers in the first place?
We don't.
I'm sorry?
In my time here, we have never contacted a former employer of a new hire.
Pardon?
Well, I mean, you must understand, Mr. Franklin, because of our constant turnover and continued restructuring, we hire scores of new people every year. We can't afford to expend the amount of people power that it would take to contact everyone's former employer just to ask them about dates of employment. You see what I'm saying, don't you?
Then, ma'am, why do you bother to ask?
There's a spot on the form for the information, and all forms must be filled out uniformly. That is the purpose of a form. Besides, it's important for record keeping. I mean, what if our corporate headquarters requested an audit?
Well, does that happen often?
No, not since I've been here, and I've never heard of one before that, but you must be prepared for these kind of things.
Oh.
All right, Mr. Franklin? Mr. Franklin, the next step is for you to make an appointment for a drug test with one of our providers. Get a release form signed by a doctor saying that you're fit to work, and then we can do your background check and set up for a polygraph. And of course, I need you to sign this form that says that we in no way promise to hire you. But if we do, you will have a 90-day probationary period during which you will not receive any benefits.
Thank you for your time, Mrs. Brown.
I'm sorry, you're not interested in the position, Mr. Franklin?
No, ma'am. I think it's time I went back into business for myself. I think perhaps I'll contact some of my old friends, George and Thomas, and see if they can come up with something a bit less, insane.
Unbelievable! Nobody in this country wants to work. I don't get it. I don't understand. Willie, when is my next appointment?
You have Mr. Johannes Guttenberg at 3:30.
Johannes Guttenberg. Thank you. Sounds like another privileged white male. I wonder what he knows about printing. Whatever. Back to my cats at TikTok. Oh, it's a pretty kitty. You're a pretty kitty.
Thank you. That was History, HR, or History's Resources. Our next story tells what happens when Dad goes missing. Here's Blowing in the Wind by Joe Stalker.
I don't believe it! How could this happen? I've looked everywhere. He has to be somewhere. I'm calling the police. That's what I'll do. I'll call the police on those thieves.
Mom, what's going on? I could hear you shouting and carrying on from the driveway.
Your father is missing!
Oh, Mom. There. Remember, Dad died years ago. I know life can get so confusing at your age. I'll get you the help you need and file for power of attorney.
For God's sake, Richard, his ashes are missing, not my wits. What are you doing here anyway?
Miss Turner from next door called me. Her very words were, your Mom Connie's carrying on loud enough to wake up the dead.
Well, Laura Lee Turner needs to mind her own business. She's into that wicked voodoo, you know. And what's she doing with your phone number?
Well, our crystal shop is just down the street from my office.
And?
So we exchange phone numbers in case of emergency, like you needing help or such. After all, you and Laura Lee have been neighbors for years and years.
Laura Lee? Touchy-feely Laura Lee? That Laura Lee who used to moon over you when you were barely out of diapers?
Good Lord, I was 18 years old. I told you way back then she never mooned me back. I mean, paid me any attention.
Well, thank the Lord your virginity was spared at such a tender age.
Virginity? Good grief, Mom. She's only concerned about your state of mind.
She and I might be neighbors, but we were never friends. She constantly wears those jangling bracelets that make her sound like a walking wind chime. I can hear them night and day.
She takes them off at night, so you couldn't be hearing them night and day.
How would you know what she takes off at night?
I mean, I'm guessing. I've heard women take off a lot of stuff at night, don't they? Makeup, bracelets, clothes, wedding rings.
Well, an unmarried man shouldn't be dwelling on what a woman takes off at night. God sees everything, you know.
Even in dark motel rooms.
I really can't understand your humor at times, Richard.
Look here, Mom. I know you and Miss Turner don't see eye to eye on some things.
That wicked woman and I don't see eyeball to eyeball on anything. And I don't hold with witches and their mumbo jumbo, whether or not she ever mooned over you.
Oh, good grief. Forget the mooning business. Now, what's going on with Dad's ashes?
They've gone missing right off the coffee table where I've kept them for years. I've looked everywhere in this house. Somebody broke in and stole them.
Mom, who in their right mind would steal a man's ashes? Is anything else missing? Jewelry, money, Dad's valuable coin collection?
You know, that earns all I've noticed missing. Remember, I had a friend paint something sacred on it, your father once said.
Like, all's well that ends well with a cold beer and a warm woman? Or was it, trouble follows me, son, like a dog in heat?
Really, Richard, have some decency and respect for the dearly departed. My friend painted the Virgin Mary on one side of the urn, and till death do us part on the other. He said those very sacred words to me the day we were married. till death do us part.
Sacred vows like that have always been a warning to me.
Thought I heard Rick's voice. How you doing, Connie? Rick?
Rick?
He prefers to be called Rick now that he's all grown up and out of diapers. I think he's looking more and more like his daddy.
We were, I've been robbed, Laurel Turner. That's how I'm doing.
No.
Someone stole Harold's ashes right off my coffee table. I'm devastated.
Oh my goodness, that's real pitiful, Connie. How are you holding up, Rick?
He wants power of attorney over me. That's how he's doing.
Getting power of attorney might be best in your case. He's such a thoughtful young man.
Young? He's close to 40 and old enough to have a little common sense.
Mom, I thought you had lost your mind and not an urn full of ashes. You shrieked, Dad was missing.
Poor Harold never could settle in one place for long. He had a wandering karma.
And how exactly does karma wander?
Oh, that's utter witch nonsense.
Well, it's when someone refuses to accept his fate and keeps wandering around trying to escape it. I think that's what happened with your dad's ashes.
Someone stole them. That's theft, not some karma garbage.
Didn't you just send some stuff for the neighborhood rummage sale? Saw your niece taking a couple of bags out here yesterday. Maybe they accidentally contained some karma garbage?
That's ridiculous. I put those things for the sale on the dining room table, and then I was dusting in here, and I set Harold's ashes.
On the dining room table?
I donated Harold to a rummage sale.
Seems you let Dad's karma go wandering again.
Not to worry about asking God's forgiveness, Connie. I saw that urn sticking out of the bag and went over and paid your niece $5 for it. I thought you were finally finished with that man after all this time.
You bought Harold? Oh, how dare you.
Ashes, Mom. She bought an urn and ashes.
Whoa, I forgot my gin and tonic. Left it sitting in the sun. I'll be right back.
Go lock the door, Richard. Hurry, lock her out.
I'll do no such thing. Maybe she'll bring Dad's ashes back.
Trust me, that witch woman will never give him back now. They committed physical sin years ago. She tried to keep him back then.
Physical sin? Are we talking just kissing, petting, or going all the way? Where was I? Why didn't I know about all this sin?
Well, you were off to college, and then to the Peace Corps thing, and then graduate school. You weren't home very often all those years. I didn't want to destroy your innocence.
All those years? How many years? 6? More?
How should I know? But I do know she's responsible for his heart attack. She probably mixed him a fatal voodoo potion because he refused to leave me. To be honest, at times I wanted to do him bodily harm myself. But still, as a good Christian woman, I forgave him for being unfaithful the minute he dropped dead.
Had to make a fresh one. I said melted. Now where were we?
I need a drink, Richard.
I'm good.
She's the reason he ended up with that heart attack. I think she put poison in some of that fatty food she'd always cooked for him. I'm sure that old sawbones who examined him wouldn't have even noticed something like arsenic killing him.
What? Arsenic? I thought maybe all the
He
alcohol.
wanted to divorce her, but she threatened to take all of his money. Sometimes I felt like doing away with him myself for lying to me. Sorry to say this, Rick, but I think him dropping dead at 45 did us all a big favor.
I really don't know what to say. Arsenic?
Well, where are my ashes?
My ashes. You planning on being cremated anytime soon, Connie?
You know very well I meant Harold's ashes. Richard, I'm going to sue her to get Harold back. You know, he made a sacred vow.
Till death do us part. But he's dead now. I'm not sure how well that's going to stand up in court.
Funny thing about those ashes, on the way up the steps, I tripped and I dropped that urn. The Virgin Mary broke into 1,000 pieces. Then Harold's ashes went blowing in the wind.
What?
Right, left, wandering off like
Wandering Karma!
I want you out of my house, Laurel Turner, right now, you witch!
He's blowing in the wind now. He's floating away and around. And
He died right here in my house.
now is blowing all over mine.
Oh, you put a spell on him, you wicked woman.
It's called F-E-F, you virgin Mary wannabe.
Oh, listen. All I really want to know is which one of you killed Dad?
She did!
Lesson learned, Dad. I am never getting cremated.
Thank you. That was blowing in the wind. So, why are Aunt Liz and Ben driving through Amish country? Just for the tasty treats? Here's Shoe Fly Pie by Carol Jeske.
You are a real pain. But I love you, you know. You're my favorite nephew.
I'm your only nephew.
This is all a bit weird, you know.
Yep.
Not too many men can say that their wives deserted them and the kids to run off and join the Amish. Did you have any clue something was wrong? She was always a bit different, but...
In retrospect, yes. I don't know how I missed it. She'd become sort of obsessed with that movie Witness. And get this, her Christmas list was just gray clothes with no buttons or zippers.
And she's not even religious, is she? It's just hard to picture a chain-smoking alcoholic at a quilting bee or a barn raising.
She's not an alcoholic. She just likes to drink to excess.
She lost her amateur status years ago. And judging from the state of the kids in the house, she wasn't exactly the homemaker type. Speaking of which, how are you all holding up?
Fortunately, church ladies in the neighborhood have lined up outside our door with casseroles and sheet cakes.
Well, be careful. If they see the inside of the house as filthy as it is, or the crap everywhere, they might call Child Protective Services.
Housekeeping is simply a low priority for us. We're always busy. Traveling, art lessons, sports. I felt it was more critical to their growth to expose them to the important things in life.
Maybe you should try exposing them to some clean sheets once in a while.
Come on, really? Each of the kids excels at a musical instrument. Annie is fantastic on the piano, James and Marie play the violin, and every one of them speaks at least 3 languages.
So how do you say, clean the damn toilet in Russian? Why don't you just hire someone?
We emptied the trust fund, and professors don't make that much. Good insurance, though.
I thought Sheila inherited some gas leases or something. Weren't they paying like $6,000 a month?
When Sheila left, the leases went with her. She's probably bankrolling some Harrison Ford lookalike named Mordecai in his oak furniture shop.
Did she leave a note or anything when she left?
Nope, just took off. Could have been gang raped and left for dead in a ditch somewhere for all we knew.
How did you find out she was with the Amish?
Cops went into her computer and found a whole bunch of stuff. But she's an adult, so they can't just go get her and drag her home. I had to hire a PI.
How did she find this Amish bunch anyway? They can't use computers, and I doubt they advertise for new members.
Some damn Mennonite named, with an iPad maybe.
Driving into town.
Well, we're almost there. What's the plan?
We'll get to the mud auction and then hopefully strike up a conversation with someone who can tell us something. Give it a place to start looking.
Mud auction?
Are those the only shoes you brought with you? I guess they get lots of rain here, so the grounds could be pretty messy.
These folks keep to themselves. What the hell makes you think they'll talk to you?
I figured I'd show them some photos of Sheila with the kids, the family. You know, pull on their heartstrings and ask if they've seen her. I'm hoping they wouldn't help someone who's just deserted their kids and run off.
I bet they won't even look at your photos.
I've got to be aggressive if I have to.
What the hell does that mean? If you start threatening these people, I swear to God I'll drive off and leave you here.
I'm 5'2" and weigh 250 pounds. You really think I'm going to intimidate anybody? I suppose I could roll over them. I'm just gonna be intense. You know, confident and really intense. I'll just look them straight in the eye.
I don't think that will work. Staring isn't considered rude in their culture.
Ooh, you did your homework.
Well, I did more than watch Witness.
Then you should know, even if I were to interrogate some Amish guy with a baseball bat, they probably wouldn't do anything about it. It's weird. They'd see the assault as a random, natural event, like lightning striking your house. Then they would pity me because I had not come to the light.
What if they have already kicked her out of the group?
I don't know. They have this crazy, weird kind of tolerance. You can't smoke or have a zipper, but I could rape some guy's wife and only get shunned for 6 weeks. Then you confess and they forgive you like it never happened. Everyone makes nicey again.
You are a bit twisted, you know that.
It's a congenital defect.
Scene 3. Ben coming out of an Amish bakery. Aunt is waiting in the car.
Take a bite. This stuff is amazing.
What is it?
It's called shoe fly pie. You know how it got its name?
Flies land on it and shit?
No. It's named to honor Shoe Fly, the boxing mule, who was apparently a major attraction in a traveling circus like 100 years ago. God, I love this stuff.
Did you get any information?
Yeah, I got the recipe.
Don't be an asshole. So, you're in there for over an hour, and all you got was some shit about a boxing mule? What happened to Mr. Aggressive, Mr. Intense?
Okay, I did learn something. I learned that she lived with a family here for a few months, but now she's moving to a different Amish community. One that's more liberal. If there is such a thing as a liberal Amish. Damn, this is good pie. But in this new place, if you rape somebody, they actually do call the cops.
Just stop stuffing your face for a second. What is all this with you and the word rape? You mentioned it 3 times in the last 3 minutes. Is there something I should know? You sound like a perv, for God's sake.
Haven't you heard? God is dead. That's what Nietzsche, the great philosopher, said.
Yeah, he said that? Well, he was nuts from syphilis and saved his shit in his dresser drawer, so... Where did they say she went?
An Amish community about 150 miles from here.
What? This place was a little too Amish for her?
This new community is more modern. They even have natural gas lines and phone outhouses.
The phone is in the outhouse.
That's what they call it, but it's a shared landline in a shed away from the house. No shitting involved. But the important thing I learned is that she left in a buggy with some guy. They just took off this morning.
Is that the guy she left you for?
Probably not, unless he's a polygamist. He had a wife and kids with him too. But get this, they just left this morning.
Well, get in the damn car. Let's get going. Maybe we can catch up with
Can
them.
I finish this pie first? Oh, come on. They're in a horse and buggy. It's not like we need a high-speed chase here. You know, the recipe for this pie is really easy. Molasses, flour.
No wonder you weigh 250 pounds. Priorities, Ben. We didn't drive hundreds of miles out here to meet Betty Crocker. Why do you want Sheila back anyway? Maybe this is a blessing in disguise.
The kids miss her.
What about you?
Well, I miss her too, and I still love her. I know what you all think of her, but I'm no great catch. I'm fat, I'm homely, and I get paid for shit. I'll probably never get tenure. Her mother hates me. She says Sheila could have done much better. She's right. No wonder she left me. I suck as a husband. I suck as a human being.
Oh, for God's sake, quit blubbering. It's not helping. How did you meet her anyway?
I was at a bachelor party.
Did she jump out of the cake or something?
She was a go-go dancer.
You picked up a go-go dancer?
No.
I'm so confused.
The bachelor party was at the Showtime Pizza Emporium. They have a great buffet. The dessert bar was incredible. Anyhow, the van ran out of gas, so I went into this bar to use the phone. After I got inside, I realized I didn't have any change for the call. I must have looked really pathetic. And then Sheila jumped out of her dance cage thing in those sexy white vinyl boots and handed me her tip money.
How romantic.
I dropped the guys off and then I drove her home. It was a beautiful night. There was a full moon. Oh, I'll never forget that night. We attacked each other right there in the car, savagely, like rabid wolves. She practically ripped my pants trying.
I don't need to hear this. I really don't.
Wolves mate for life, you know.
So does the albatross. So what happened?
And I gave her $20.
You paid her?
It wasn't like that. It was more of a thank you gift.
Jeez.
Don't look at me like that. We framed that 20 and hung it over the mantle. It's a tribute to honor our special night. Now, each year on our anniversary, we relive that night in the car, you know?
And then you give her $20.
No, of course not. I give her 50. Inflation and all. She wasn't always like she is now, you know? She stuck by me in some awful places when I was traveling to research for my PhD. A real trooper. She slept in smelly trains, stood in meat lines. She even took care of me when I caught dysentery that time and kept shitting all over the bed.
I'm beginning to see why she left. So what happens when we catch up to them?
Pull alongside the buggy so she can see me and then honk the horn until they pull over.
You will scare the hell out of the horse.
Well, I have to get her attention somehow. Okay. Look, suppose we pick up a long-stemmed rose. And when you pull alongside the buggy, I toss it to her through the window.
I guess that's a little better.
Scene 4, outside a convenience store. Ben is holding a bag to a wound on his head.
Need some more ice?
He didn't have to whip me in the head like that.
You were climbing through his buggy window from a moving car.
I threw the rose first.
But that wasn't even Sheila. You scared the hell out of some strange Amish woman, and God knows what the other people in the buggy thought. Like she has some crazy fat English stalker?
I'm sorry. I know, it was a disaster. They all look the same to me in that gray garb. Maybe it'll go better on the next attempt. Glad I brought a dozen roses.
I'm not doing this 11 more times, so get it through your head right now.
This time, I'll make absolutely sure it's her.
Scene 5, outside a rest stop's bathroom.
She's just cleaning up a bit. One of the roses poked her in the eye, and she wants to put some makeup on. I tried calling her mother to say things are okay, but she wouldn't stop yelling. God, she hates me.
Well, you did drag her daughter through some of the world's greatest shitholes. You never told me about Sheila catching malaria.
It wasn't as bad as when she caught the bubonic plague in Uzbekistan. You should have seen it. The lymph nodes in her armpits grew to the size of eggs and started oozing this nasty pus. Fortunately, we caught it before she got gangrenous or started coughing up blood or anything serious. We got her some doxycycline and she was good as new in a few weeks. In a way, it was cool. Like living a part of world history. It made a hugely significant world crisis real for us.
I'm sure she appreciated that. You know, life gives you lemons. So the plague cleared up, but the malaria is recurrent?
Unfortunately, it can come back from time to time and cause bizarre psychiatric problems that go on for the rest of your life. Apparently, she had a flare-up. It made her delusional, and she believed she was starring in Witness 2 and was late for filming, so she took off. The Amish found her wandering around, but she wasn't making any sense and didn't remember anything, so they took her in. But she's much better now. The doctor said it sometimes takes a traumatic event to bring the ill person back to reality.
I guess seeing you again could do the job. So now what, head home?
We want to make a fresh start, you know? Just go on with life like this never happened. I'm going to be a better husband. No more taking her for granted. I'll treat her like a princess. You'll see. And did you notice? In some ways, she is a very different person now. The Amish taught her to cook and sew, raise vegetables, castrate goats, and she loved it. Well, not the goat stuff, but she can't wait to get home to the kids and cook them dinner and sew clothes for them.
She wants to make their clothes?
As long as there are no buttons or zippers. The clergyman said she had become quite a skilled baker. When she gets home, she wants to write a cookbook and blog about her life with the Amish. Maybe we could sell the rights to her story. That could be some serious bucks. This could be a blessing in disguise.
I'm so happy for you. I'm shocked as hell that it worked out this way, but I'm so happy for you and the kids. After all, you are my favorite nephew.
I'm your only nephew.
Thank you. That was Shoe Fly Pie. Now we're off to Crystal River in a tale about an artist and a rather chatty manatee. Here's Mrs. and the Manatee by Margot Wilson.
Oh, hi there. Looking good.
Well, duh. I always look good. I've lured many sailors to their deaths, you know. They thought I was a mermaid.
A talking manatee.
Relax. I love people who paint my portrait. I personally prefer my right side.
Oh, this is exciting. I've been looking for some new inspiration for my work.
Yes, these spring waters can be quite rejuvenating. Just relax, breathe out. Send your negative energy soaring into Father Sky.
What are you, some kind of manatee guru?
Stay with me in the moment. Breathe out. You are one with the universe. What are you?
I paint manatee art and mermaids. It's quite the blooming business.
I see. So is it art or craft? Mastery or mediocrity? Inspiration or conventionality?
Huh?
To paint's to breathe, and all the darknesses are dared. Elizabeth Jennings wrote that. Is that what painting's like for you, breathing?
Oh, come on, it's my job. Well, it used to be like breathing.
So what happened?
Dropped out of art school to have my Abby. Got my husband Bill in the bargain, if that's what you want to call him. He was kind of a twofer.
Well, what does that have to do with your painting?
Nothing. Everything. Bill wants me to make money. Lots of it.
What do you want?
I really don't know anymore. I think I want to have fun.
You go, girl. Release your inner muse.
Like a virgin, touched for the very first time. Like a virgin.
Easy, girl. Don't pollute. I have to live here.
Oh, sorry.
Marilyn pulls up her cover up and plops by Mirabelle. As she does, a man in a business suit and tie enters and walks down the dock. To Marilyn, she doesn't notice.
Woo-wee. I haven't felt this good since Bill and I got drunk and we won a Spice Girl lip sync contest.
Marilyn! I told you what happens in Key West stays in Key West.
Take a chill pill, Bill.
Holy crap!
That's right. Consumption and elimination are part of the divine plan, although I must admit that the lettuce they've been feeding us lately has been giving me diarrhea. We're all part of the web of life, the universe of biological rhythm.
Who asked you?
Listen up, Bill. You might just learn something. What are you doing here?
The gift shop called. They need 50 more Mermaid on the Rocks velvet paintings.
You do velvet paintings?
Somebody's got to. Go home, honey. I'll be there soon. Right now, I'm seeking enlightenment.
Well, good luck with that. Think you're gonna find it with a sea cow?
I beg your pardon, sir. I'm surprised you didn't notice I'm a mermaid.
Uh-huh. And Marilyn here is Michelangelo, and I'm Machine Gun Kelly.
If you say so. You remind me more of Abraham Lincoln.
Later, Bill.
Just remember, Marilyn, every second here is $5 of business lost.
I'll be home soon. I'm just brainstorming on how we might expand our consciousnesses.
You might get a whole new perspective if you took the plunge and joined me down here.
Huh?
Come on in, the water's fine. Well, it's almost as clear as it gets. Join me for a dip. If you want to paint me, you might want to see things from my perspective. Come on in.
Well, I guess nobody's stopping me.
Marilyn looks around and doesn't see anyone. She quickly flings off her outer shirt, capris, and sandals and jumps off the dock and treads water. Mirabelle pulls out another pool float from under the dock.
This is for company.
Oh, thanks. This is the life.
Yes, there's much to recommend a life of peaceful contemplation.
They zoom around, laughing and bumping into each other. They're having so much fun they don't notice Abby and Zach, Marilyn's teenage children, striding down the dock. Abby's in a prissy sundress, and Zach seems to have fallen off a roadie bus of a rock band.
Mom! Mom! What are you doing? Dad said we needed to bring you home.
I'll save you, Mom.
Three's a crowd, son.
Honey, that's really sweet, but I'm okay. I'm really okay.
Wow, way to go, Mom.
Mom!
Come on, let's go home. She deserves some R&R.
Mom! Dad is not gonna like this one bit. Mom!
Come on, Ab. She's fighting to let us swim without a mom all along. We should leave her alone.
Fine. Just fine. But what are we supposed to tell Dad?
I guess we could say she's refining her art.
Huh?
You know, she's doing some character study. She's becoming one with her art. She's learning her craft from the inside out.
Oh, shut up, Zach. What are we gonna tell our dad?
I don't know.
Mirabelle and Marilyn glide about on their floats. They rest near the dock, and Mirabelle reaches under and pulls out some lettuce.
Hungry?
Oh, no thanks, but you go ahead.
You're really fun. I like you. Why don't you move in?
Oh, thanks. But I really couldn't.
Why not? Your kids are mostly grown, and Bill's just an annoying human man person.
Well, that's true. I guess the kids could visit. We could all go swimming.
Yes, and we could take a golf cruise. How does New Orleans sound?
Fun. But I don't swim as well as you, and I don't like lettuce too much.
Oh, there's plenty of fish in the sea, and you could always hang on to me.
You're a really nice manatee and lots of fun. Whee!
While Mirabelle and Marilyn scoot about, Bill, Abby, and Zach stride down the dock. Mirabelle and Marilyn don't notice.
Marilyn!
Oh, shoot, the warden.
Mom! It's time to come home. We miss you.
Aw, that's kind of sweet. My own baby girl never comes around.
It's a trap. They want me to come home and cook and clean and to crank out more manatee paintings. But I'm sick of it. Go away. I'm on vacation. Maybe I'll make it permanent.
You're right. We haven't had a vacation in a long time. You know, I lived here all my life, and I never swum with the manatees.
It is quite a thrill, son.
You're right.
Marilyn, what are you doing?
Becoming one with the universe.
You ought to try it.
Zach swims to the dock, jumps out, and pushes Bill into the water.
Zach!
Zach!
Zach pushes his sister into the water.
Zach! It does feel kind of good though, Dad.
Yeah, I suppose.
Well, there goes the neighborhood.
So you're seeing how nice it is out here,
Oh yeah.
Maybe.
Kind of.
and you can see how it's hard to go home.
Definitely.
I guess.
Not really. Well, it's been fun and all, but I gotta run. Josh is coming over tonight and, well, you know.
You better come home soon, Marilyn. It really is nice out here.
Thanks for showing me this, Mom. Come home whenever you want.
Well, do you want to cruise to New Orleans?
How about we just float here and watch the stars come out?
Thank you. That was Mrs. and the Manatee. We'll now take a 15-minute intermission. And if you haven't gotten your ballot to vote for tonight's favorite yet, the ushers will make sure you get one and a pencil. So just raise your hand if you need one. Thanks. We'll see you in 15 minutes.